We are still the hunters. We don't have a being hunted mentality. I tell them there's hunters versus hunted. We're still the hunters. We're Benedict College Tigers, and Tigers hunt. Those guys are hungry. They know this is a new team, new season, but the same mission. And that mission every day is to go 1-0. Let's win the day.
College football fans, what is the deal? It's your boy Kelly Flicks, and I'm back with another episode of HBCU Flicks. Of course, we're doing our midweek episode, and that was just Coach Chennis Berry from Benedict College, hyping everything up, keeping everybody ready to go because, I'm ready to go. Like, I can't even bottle up my emotions right now because college football season is starting again, bro. College football season is starting again. Sound all the alarms. Training camp, fall camp, whatever you want to call it. The football players are back on campus. They're practicing. Some people already went through a whole week of practice. NFL's back in camp. We get to see all these highlights. We get to see all the storylines. So right before the season, we have the MEAC and the SWAC challenge, which is being extended along with the Celebration Bowl. It's going to be extended 4 more years. So I'm going to get into some MEAC expansion. What teams I honestly think would fit well in the MEAC and what I think the MEAC should do moving forward because, quite honestly, we're not going to see a MEAC and SWAC super league. It's not happening. So early upsets this season. Week 0 and week 1, I have a couple of upsets to give you guys. One of those upsets includes Jackson State. Another one includes Delaware State. And another one includes Division II opponents. So we'll get into that. Tennessee State slotted at 5th in the Ohio Valley Conference, or now known as the Big South / Ohio Valley Conference. A little disrespectful given the fact that what Tennessee State is bringing back. They have 5 all OVC players on defense and 1 on offense with Jalen Ellis. We'll get into that. But at the top of the show, there are a couple things I want to get into. Because the season just started, right? So one thing I do have to admit to everybody, because last year I did predict 2 teams to go to the playoffs. I predicted North Carolina A&T would go to the playoffs, and I predicted Tennessee State would also go to the playoffs. It didn't happen. Whatever. I was wrong. Okay. Now, this next year coming up, I don't think there are many of our HBCUs that are going to get a chance to play in the FCS playoffs this year. I just don't see it. I don't see it. There's a certain criteria that they're going off of. Let's start it, okay? You have to have possible out-of-conference top 25 opponent or FBS game. You also have to play 11 Division I games. You have to be the conference winner or runner-up for your conference, right? So I went through all the different rosters. I went through all different schedules. Picked out which schedules were the strongest, which schedules still had 11 Division I opponents, and it only came down to 7 HBCUs. Only 7 have an opportunity. Of the 23 HBCUs, those 7 go as follows. You have Howard, Morgan State, Jackson State, Alcorn, Prairie View A&M, North Carolina A&T, and Hampton. Those are the only shots. Some people were saying it's Florida A&M Celebration Bowl or bust. That's most of the HBCU landscape. It's Celebration Bowl or bust. Only these 7 teams have a chance to play in the FCS playoffs. The rest of y'all is chalked. It's Celebration Bowl or nothing for you guys. Understandable. Much better payout with Celebration Bowl. But I don't want to hear Celebration Bowl or bust for FAMU when every other team in the SWAC, aside from 3 teams, is going to be Celebration Bowl or bust this year. So speaking of Celebration Bowls, a conference that's been doing pretty well in Celebration Bowls is the MEAC. The MEAC conference has been doing pretty good there. But the only thing that's a hiccup for the MEAC is adding more teams and expansion. Should we expand? Should we not expand? When to expand? When not to expand? Well, MEAC, I'm here to tell you right now, this is a good time to expand. This is a time of conference realignment through the FBS and FCS. We're seeing moves weekly. Last week, we saw Colorado lead the Pac-12. MEAC, tread lightly and understand that teams can leave, but also understand that let's be proactive. Let's add some teams. So here are the 4 teams I have up here. We got Tennessee State, who seems to want to lead the OVC. We have West Virginia State. We have Benedict College. And we have Fayetteville State. So to move, well, let's say this first. There's only one Division I team I mentioned. That's Tennessee State. The other 3 teams are Division II teams. For a Division II team to play in Division I, there's a certain criteria. You got to meet the criteria. Let's talk about it. All right. So, for the criteria, you have to have 14 sports, 7 men, 7 women's. And while you are Division I, you have to sponsor at least 90% of the team with full scholarships. So, I made a quick little list. So I have a nice map. We'll go through our roadmap also. But before we go through our roadmap, I think the numbers are a little bit more pitiful. I mean, a little more critical in this situation, right? So I looked up the stadium capacity just to see, if you could still increase your brand if you're the MEAC football-wise. How can you do that? Bigger stadiums would probably help, right? So Tennessee State is playing Nissan Stadium, Tennessee Titan Stadium, 69,000, okay? Benedict College playing at their own stadium, at their own campus. They have 11,000 as seating capacity. Pretty big. It's big size. You have Fayetteville State, Division II, playing at a size of 8.8 thousand in stadium capacity. And then we got West Virginia State, who plays in the Mountain East, who only has 5,000 at stadium capacity. So now next criteria would be the sport requirement. Which of these schools has a sport requirement? So every school does. Tennessee State, Benedict, West Virginia State. The only school that does not is Fayetteville State. Fayetteville State does not reach the sport requirement. At Fayetteville State, they have 4 men's sports and 6 women's sports. All right, so they technically would be out of it on this. When it comes to student population, Benedict College actually has more students than Tennessee State. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I read that wrong. I read that completely wrong. Benedict has 2,000 students. Tennessee State has 9,000. But look, the students doesn't matter at this point, right? When we talk about moving and making this move, sport-wise, these are teams that make sense to me. Fayetteville State, to me, has been a perennial powerhouse in the CIAA. They haven't been to win many conference championships. I get it. But they have been in the mix. They have been in the conference championship, I would say, maybe 4 of the last 6 years. It's a pretty good football team. It's a pretty good football program to add to a conference that's looking for good football teams. I think they both are calling each other's name at this point. Benedict, SIAC. I think Benedict is great in SIAC. They have just rose to prominence as of late. Coach Chennis Berry has definitely done that with this program. But I think Benedict could make a move like this because that helps Benedict. They could receive more money in the MEAC than they could in the SIAC. We got to keep it plain. Might even get a better media deal if we're keeping it real. So really with Benedict, I think as good they are as a football team, I think it might help for them to go to the MEAC. Doesn't hurt them. They're down the street from South Carolina State. All right, then we got West Virginia State. West Virginia State is kind of the wobbler, right? It's kind of like, where do they come from? Nobody ever speaks about West Virginia State. They're kind of like in the Langston realm of things. Well, West Virginia State is a Division II program that plays in the Mountain East Conference. They have been pretty good the past couple of years. And West Virginia State could be a good move for the MEAC because they are still in the MEAC's geological footprint. A lot of these teams I picked are in the MEAC's geological footprint. Let's take a look at the map. Here's the map here, all right? Like I said, Benedict is pretty close to South Carolina State. I think that with adding these 4 teams, you can now present divisions to the MEAC because travel is such a big thing, right? If travel is such a hindrance to some of these programs, bring out divisions. I'm not a big fan of divisions. A lot of conferences are leaving divisions. But in my scenario here, you make a division with Tennessee State, North Carolina Central, Benedict College, Fayetteville State, South Carolina State. That makes up your Southern Division. Your Northern Division is now Morgan State, Delaware State, Howard, West Virginia State, Norfolk State. In football, at least, UMass and Coppin don't play football. Those are your divisions, natural divisions. Geologically, they are split, literally split by the state of Virginia. It makes a lot of sense to me. I think that the MEAC has to be proactive in adding teams. And in adding teams, you want to only add HBCUs, right? I don't think the MEAC will add a PWI school. I think they will only add a HBCU. And that being a fact, yeah, this is it. This is the move. You don't think too hard about these things. I think that the MEAC just has to move and be rash about these things. A school that's definitely been brought up in MEAC expansion has been Bowie State. Definitely been brought up. For some reason, that always gets shot down very fast. I got to do more research on Bowie State to see if that would even be a better match. But a lot of people think that the coastal schools may be more of a match for this MEAC, but I kind of feel like the MEAC expansion will begin pushing down Southern. And as it pushes south, I think that schools like Benedict, schools like Fayetteville State make sense for the MEAC and have good football programs. So it's MEAC map, MEAC by numbers, and MEAC SWAC challenge. All right, so here we go. Like I said, it got pushed. They got extended 4 more years for the MEAC and SWAC challenge and the Celebration Bowl. These are matchups. These were presented like months ago. These are matchups up until 2026. Next year, matchup is going to be pretty weak. It's going to be Norfolk State and FAMU. Then we'll get Southern, North Carolina Central, which could be I think that might be a very big matchup. I wonder where it would be, if they're keeping Atlanta or not, but that would be a very big matchup. And then 2026, that's another very big matchup, Alabama A&M and Howard. So can't wait to see those matchups. Love what the MEAC and SWAC challenge is doing. I think that is actually making these conferences stronger because they play against each other and face against each other more often and on a bigger stage. I love it. So going from the MEAC map and our MEAC challenge, now we're get into our upset watch. A quick little upset watch for you guys, all right? So coming up this season, we have some very big games. Very big games. There's a MEAC and SWAC challenge between South Carolina State and Jackson State. I'm here to tell y'all right now, I think Jackson State's going to be heavy favorites, right? And I think they're going to be heavy favorites because Jackson State just got ranked in the top 25 poll, CBS FCS, right? The coaches poll. They were ranked top 25. South Carolina State was not ranked. Betting terms would say that Jackson State is going to be the favorite coming into this game, right? Just because given their ranking and what people think about them going into the season. But college football fans, we know what Jackson State has lost. We understand that South Carolina State has one of the best defensive fronts in HBCU football. And they're going up against a Jackson State O-line that has traditionally struggled in the past 2 or 3 years, even with Coach Prime. Can they fix this offensive line problem right before the season or in week 1 against South Carolina State? I don't think so. I don't think it's figured out that fast. I think the underdog, South Carolina State, take this game. As much as I want to believe Jackson State can just beat South Carolina State, you can't just out-talent folks anymore, and it's not going to come together in one day. It's truly not for Jackson State. I think it's going to take time. And look, the offense, you may have a couple splash plays, but up front, if you can't run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, you're going to lose the game. And with Jablonski Green and Patrick Goebel back there for South Carolina State, I think they're going to give issues to South Carolina State O-line. And it's going to stop the run game. It's going to lead to consistency issues from the quarterback at Jackson State. Whoever the quarterback is going to be, whether it's Jason Brown, Zy McDonald, whoever it's going to be, these guys are studs you're going against. Guys that I think are great NFL prospects. So that's number 1 on upset list. Okay, upset watch. Bowie State at Delaware State is another watch for upset alert. Now, with this Bowie State and Delaware State game, what's most interesting is the fact that I think Bowie State will probably go in this game like they have nothing to lose. They should have won the game last year. Super close. They should have won the game last year. Coach Milstead probably will admit to you right now, Coach Rob Milstead will probably admit to you right now, they snuck out of that game. Well, I'm here to tell you that I think Bowie State might come even harder this year. Pause. I'm keeping it a buck. Coach Kyle Jackson is still looking for a signature win. He didn't get a signature win last year. They went like 6-4. The losses to Virginia Union and the loss to Chowan really hurt. He's looking for a signature win. If he could sneak Delaware State in week 1, he would do it. So, doesn't mean it can't happen. But I do think Bowie State's going to give them their best shot. Bowie State's problem last year was their defense, right? Their defense just wasn't the same Bowie State defense that we saw from head coach Damon Wilson. It wasn't. They didn't stop much. And a lot of their losses were because the defense, honestly, couldn't get stops at critical times. They allowed way too many points last year. So I think that this game, honestly, could be a shootout. I think Bowie State and Delaware State just shoot it out on week 1 of college football. We get to see a Division II team go toe-to-toe with a Division I team, and not only go toe-to-toe with them, go touchdown for touchdown with them. I think this game gets up there and score. Both of these teams could put it up. They have good offenses. If you look at Delaware State, they're all about their offense. C.J. Henry at quarterback. You have Marquise Gillis at running back. You got my boy, get his name right, Rakeem Smith at wide receiver. Great wide receiver. they have a lot of solid young players and a great young core. I think it may lead to problems throughout the season and growing pains. But in week 1, Delaware State's defense ain't good. Bowie State's defense ain't good. Bowie State returns some preseason all-conference wide receivers. Delaware State returns a preseason all-conference running back. Both teams favor their offenses, and I think that will lead to a big shootout game. Now, lastly, we got Virginia State and Norfolk State. I think this is like the battle like Little State or something like that, or somebody gets called Little State. So, I don't want to be in this beef. One thing I know, I'm not going to get in between no beef. All right, I'm not stopping no fights. I'm not getting between nothing. Y'all do that. But Virginia State, Norfolk State. Now, this is a wobbler. I've told y'all before about wobblers. This is the definition of a wobbler. Both of these teams added 40 players this past signing period. 40 players. Virginia State, in fact, has 25 graduate student players on their team today. Norfolk State just had a complete overhaul and brought in, I think now it's 4 quarterbacks along with those other 40 players. Both teams do not have a quarterback. Jordan Davis of Virginia State, if I'm not mistaken, has graduated. He was a grad student last year. I don't know if he's going to grad student again, but he was a grad student last year. He should be out of here. So that means Virginia State doesn't have a quarterback. Norfolk State's quarterback, Otto Kuhns, not sure if he's a guy. Cameron Sapp from Florida A&M is up there at Norfolk State right now. I'm not sure who's winning that quarterback battle, but I say that to say we don't know what we're going to get from either one of these teams. And add on top of that, this is a rivalry. Add on top of that, you got 2 veteran head coaches, Coach Henry Frazier III, and you got Coach Dawson Odoms. I don't know what we're going to get, but it could be upset. And when you have a Division I team playing a Division II team and we're going, I don't know what's going to happen, I think Virginia State will cover whatever points they have to in this game. If it's 21, if it's 17, they'll cover. We'll talk about it on Bet on Black, though. All right, so these are my upsets to watch, week 0 and week 1. And on my Thursday show, I'll give y'all upsets every week to watch. That's going to be our thing. We'll do our upsets, give y'all something to really look close at, and then we'll look at the numbers close to the week on Bet on Black on Fridays. All right, so after our upset watch, now we have Tennessee State. Tennessee State, well, actually, before I finish upset watch, let me make sure I got everything I want to get out, man. Everything I wanted to get out. Okay, so let me circle back to Jackson State, South Carolina State real quick. I hate when I finish shows and I'm like, I didn't say that note, though. The other thing about Jackson State, South Carolina State, I did talk about South Carolina State's defense, right? Their front 7. That's all I kind of talked about. The difference in this game is going to be Corey Fields. Corey Fields, quarterback at South Carolina State, has been named the starter. He's the guy. The difference in this game will be Corey Fields. If Corey Fields can find a rhythm, keep this South Carolina State offense on the field, driving down the field, it could get ugly. It could get ugly because Jackson State offense may start trying to force things. You don't want to do that. Last week, I had my hesitations on Corey Fields and what he can do in this new offense. Well, he'll be the difference maker in this game. If Corey Fields gets it going, if he can go for 200 passing yards, 230 passing yards, I think South Carolina State wins this game. Hands down. If he can go for 230, I think they win this game. So, Jackson State, man, it's going to be a big one. It doesn't count towards the conference play, but could be a trap game for you guys early in the season, week 0. All right, so let's go to Tennessee State now. Now we'll talk Tennessee State, man. The Big South OVC Media Day was this past week. Shout out to my boy Blue Bloods was down there getting them interviews, man. I did check out the Eddie George interview. Pretty good one. And Tennessee State. The respect. Okay, so last year they finished 6th, if I'm not mistaken, in OVC. This year they have them scheduled to finish at 5th. So there are a couple takeaways from this. The first takeaway I would say is that they did have a merger. OVC and the Big South, 2 different conferences have merged. They both had like 5 or 4 teams. They were like, we might as well come together. We might as well be brothers, right? Let's lock up. They did. So of the new teams in this conference, only one team was ranked over Tennessee State, and that was Gardner Webb, okay? They won the Big South last year. They were 5-0 in the Big South. Okay, so, I understand it. They came in second in this preseason poll. The rest of the teams were underneath them, right? My thing is this, right? Will there ever be a time where the head coaches and SIDs go, I think Tennessee State has a good chance of winning this conference? Because if it wasn't last year, I get it. Recruiting class was young, and it was a new recruiting class. Who knew? He had a bad year the year before. This year, this is probably one of their best recruiting classes, probably one of their most stacked rosters, great coaching staff. It's kind of tough to see that they're only 5th in this division, in this conference. They're out of 10 teams. I think it's a little disrespectful to a Tennessee State team that actually has made some strides. I think 4-3, it sounds a little bit more realistic to me. But it's a tough pill to swallow, right? Because I think Tennessee State has a lot of talent on their team. I think Tennessee State, let me fix my mic. I think Tennessee State has great potential on their team, all around their team, from running backs to receivers to quarterback. The quarterback, Jalen Ellis, is amazing. They played Eastern Washington extremely tough last year, extremely tough. Almost got the win in Washington. I think Tennessee State has to play with a chip on their shoulder this year. They have to. And they have a chance to do that early in the season. They have a chance to knock out some of these top guys that are ranked above them or that have essentially like shitted on them, what I think, right? So that would be – let's pull the schedule. I'll pull this schedule up. I'll pull Tennessee State schedule real quick. So I went through it earlier. And what I found the most interesting was after this Notre Dame game, you got a fix-it-up game against Arkansas Pine Bluff. You'll fix them up real good, right? Then next you play Gardner Webb. Week 3 you play Gardner Webb. Which would be one of the best teams in the OVC Big South. You get a chance to knock them off week 3. And then in week 4 you play UT Martin. You get a chance to knock them off in week 4. So if this Tennessee State team is for real, like I think they're for real, they'll show us this by week 5. By week 5, they should have about 4 wins, and they'll be in contention for the Big South OVC championship early in the season. Because even if you think about that, right, go through their season, Gardner Webb, UT Martin, then you play Kennesaw State. Again, it doesn't matter. You play Norfolk State. Again, it doesn't matter. Non-conference, another non-conference. You get a 3-game skid of non-conference games in the middle of the season. It's pretty unheard of. It's probably this Big South OVC thing, but you get 3 free games in the middle of the season. That helps a lot. From there, you play Lindenwood, Charleston Southern, Eastern Illinois, and it doesn't really ramp up that much. But if you can win early in the season, if you could get this Gardner Webb game week 3, you are in the driver's seat of the OVC, literally. And don't let you get a win against UT Martin. You'll be in the driver's seat of OVC for about a month because the next 3 weeks are preseason games. Not preseason, non-conference games. All right? So UT Martin, September 30th. You don't play your next conference game until October 28th. Hey, Tennessee State, the ball's in your court. If you guys feel like you guys can make a move, this is the year. This is it. This is your shot to be the best team in OVC. If you don't take this shot now, you probably won't get it back for a couple of years. Because once Jalen Ellis is out of here, you got to think about who's going to be the quarterback. First starts quarterback FCS. If you're trying to build an FCS team, first you need a quarterback. That's how I would build my team. Quarterback, O-line, D-line. Then we can go. Then we can do something. But O-line, damn near always going to be top 3, no matter what. No matter how good you are. North Dakota State, their top 3 need will probably always be O-line. They get them out every year, but that's how they look at things, right? That's how you continue to dominate other programs. Front 7, quarterback, difference makers. Tennessee State, you guys have a chance to prove a lot of the doubters wrong and make a good push. A good push for the playoffs. Contending for conference is first, though. Beating Gardner Webb week 3 is first, though, right? So we'll see what Tennessee State can do this year. I am very hopeful that they can put this together. I expect Jalen Ellis to have a big year. I think he'll get a chance with some Goliath earlier, honestly, between Gardner Webb and UT Martin. You can show your face against one of those teams and really get it up there for us. You got 5 defensive players named All Big South, which is pretty good. 5 defensive players. You got Terrell Allen, James Green, Kayvon Pope, Josh Green, Bryce Phillips. Look, these are all the guys I've been talking about in the offseason. All the guys I talk about, I preach, they're in my top 5 list. They're right here. I'm not surprised that a lot of these defensive guys on Brandon Fisher's defense has made it into this Big South OVC team. Not surprised at all. I do think that these preseason awards have to pay dividends during the season. These guys got to stay healthy, got to make plays, got to show that you're the best defense in the OVC. If they can do that, then this Tennessee State team has a chance at contending for the Big South OVC championship. That's all I got for this week, guys. It's my Thursday show. I'll be back on Monday to give y'all some more heat. I'm coming with reels, coming with everything Mondays and Thursdays. I'm now Mondays and Thursdays, guys. Lock me in. But for now, though, it's your boy Kelly Flicks, and I'm out. Peace.